I want to create the biggest community there is for freelancers. I have a lot of value to share. I haven't just done $1 million with one agency, I've done it with 3 agencies.
SADDAM HASAN.
When you specifically niche out, you are going to grow faster. We're just going to do creatives, and that's helped us grow to 5, 6, 7 mil.
We have amazing advantage. We can have low-cost employees. What makes us not successful?
There is a client, there is a company that is willing to pay you 10 times for the same type of work. It's not a difference in skill. It's just a difference in the person that's paying you.
What do you think is the #1 communication problem as of right now?
We go into every conversation like we do in a performance. It's rehearsed.
Leading over 150 people, how are you maintaining your sanity?
We wanted to create a culture where everyone is just accountable. And people who are not performing, we don't give any spotlight to. We only celebrate the winners in our team. Slowly and steadily, we were able to create a culture of winning. Introverts, they talk less.
SADDAM HASAN, welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I would love to start the conversation with how you actually stumbled upon Amazon at first, and like how was the journey look like?
Yeah, this was back in 2016 when I was working a 9 to 5, and I just stumbled upon, something that was like, there's a networking event happening where you can earn online. And that got me interested because at that time I was doing my CPA, and I was like, as soon as I'm done with my studies, I need to know like how else can I make money? So I went there, and it was like Amazon online arbitrage where you go into like different stores, find products, and then you sell them on Amazon. So that's how I got started. But then later on, I dove deeper into like YouTube videos and stuff like that, and found out that there's a way to actually launch a brand. And slowly and steadily, I got into that. 2 years later, I launched my brand, and that got successful.
Got it. So how you were able to like find that right group of network or the event at first where you actually like stumble upon like, hey, Amazon is a thing, or making money online is also a thing? Like how did you actually found that network?
You know what? It was purely accidental, right? Because
Yeah.
I didn't have an intention. It's just like I'm a curious human being. So I like to try new things. And I was always like very entrepreneurial. Even though the businesses that I tried before that, 2 of them were like pyramid schemes. So, so I tried them, and then I found out it was a pyramid scheme. Didn't really work, but I knew I wanted to do something that was business related. I was never like meant for a job. And as soon as I heard this, there was that networking event that I talked about. It just got me interested, and I wanted to like explore, just got into that network, and yeah, it just fascinated me.
So how was it look like when you first went into the event? Did you feel like it was a completely different world?
It was, absolutely, because the guy who was presenting, he was, I think he was like, it was a Desi group, right? So a bunch of like Pakistani and Indians. And I was like, okay, this also seems like there's some sort of a pyramid scheme or something going on, because all I see is a few Desi people, and some are maybe in their 40s, some are like very, young in their teenage. And the guy was just not very convincing when he was presenting things. And he was talking about like how big Amazon is, and people actually sell products on there.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. I knew that people could buy products from Amazon, but outside of that, I had no idea you could actually have a business on Amazon.
Got it. So like what was the next step look like for you? Like after you figure out like, okay, there is something like that with Amazon, you already mentioned you were able to like start your own private label. How was that process look like for you in the meantime?
Yeah, so first was the arbitrage model.
Yeah.
And the good thing is the guy who was presenting, he also used to flip products on Amazon. So I got in touch with him, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to pay you. Why don't you just help me out with the first batch? And we went to a store. He actually scanned a few products with us.
Yeah.
He showed us the app. He took us through everything. I paid him for that. And through that, I made a quick flip. It made me some money. I didn't make a lot of money, but at least that got me started. And then I was like, okay, now I know the process. I'm going to start to do this on my own. So I just kept on going to Toys R Us, Walmart, Costco, all these different stores. And I would just scan products and find them, ship them to Amazon, sell them on Amazon. So that's how the arbitrage model worked. But very soon I figured out, you know what, I'm doing like a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
So the only time that I have left is in the evenings, and I'm already pretty exhausted. So you call this like sweat equity.
Yes.
You have to go in every time. It's very exhausting. I wanted something that I could just do from my laptop. Inherently, I'm sometimes pretty lazy, right? So then when I watched a few YouTube videos, turned out there is a model that existed where you don't even have to touch your product.
Got it.
And that was private label. So essentially, you manufacture from China, you ship it to Amazon, get it inspected, and it starts selling, and then Amazon dispatches it to the end customer. So when I heard about that model, I was like, you know what? It's worth a try. And again, there wasn't anyone that I could personally learn from, but there were a few YouTubers at that time that you could learn from. So I just, I started doing that, and it picked up.
Got it. And then later down the road, you actually exited from that private label too, right?
Yes.
I would love to know more about what it actually takes to exit properly, where you can actually get compensated too, because a lot of people out there structure their store, their businesses in such a way where it's not ready for an exit, right?
Yeah.
So like what it actually took you to make a successful exit?
Yeah, so a lot of things I found out once I started, thinking about the exit, and I was already pretty late. But this is a really good question, because when you think of exiting your brand, number one, it has to be profitable, right? So
of course.
You need to be making money from it. Second thing is you need to have like multiple products. If you're just a one product wonder, already your valuation is going to be low because there's a big risk to it.
100%.
What if that product fails or gets saturated?
Yeah.
Now you don't have a business. The third thing is it actually helps if you're omnipresent. So you're not just selling on Amazon. You have a website set up, maybe Shopify, Walmart. And I was doing a lot of stuff on Amazon, but I had like a social media setup for it. So there was some traffic coming in from social media to my Amazon page. So those were like a few things that I initially looked at, and that helped my valuation. Because I had multiple products, but then there's also like a huge due diligence period that you go through.
Yes,
and
correct.
Basically, you have to send them your financials. They vet that through. There's people that do a lot of like black hat methods, for ranking and stuff like that. And bringing in that traffic, it's hard to tell if that traffic is fake or real. So what's good is if you go through a platform like Flippa or Empire Flippers, they have brokers that will do the due diligence for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They follow it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of helped as well. And again, the multiples at that time weren't that big. This was before the aggregator space basically took over. So you could get like a 2x multiple. At max, you would hit like a 3x. But when aggregators jumped in, the multiples just went up to like 4 or 5x.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, and now it's kind of died down a bit again. So I think there's like a
market trend,
correction that's happened in the market.
Yeah, no, that's great. So within that time, while you were planning to exit, you also started your own agency too, right? AMZ One Step. What was the thought behind that of creating your own agency? In the meantime, you were working on the private label?
Yeah. So it was, again, purely accidental, I would say. So I used to do, at this stage, because I had my own brand, I used to do meetups across my city. Just like I'm doing one in Islamabad tomorrow. So I'm a huge advocate for meetups, and through meetups I was able to create a community of Amazon sellers, and slowly we started branching out to different cities. I would get the same question. Hey, do you have a good designer? Do you have someone who can manage my ads? Do you have someone for this? Do you have someone for that? And essentially, because I had my own brand, I had all these people. So I would just connect them with the right people, connect them with my hookups.
Yep.
But then a thought came in and I was like, why don't I just tell them that I do this and then I can just outsource it to someone else?
Correct.
So that was how I got my first client. And then slowly, because my designer was so good, I started getting questions from other people. And when they would see the work, they'd be like, hey, I want to get some work done from you guys as well. And that designer would cost me a lot. So initially what I did was I would just give him orders, but then afterwards I decided I'm going to create my own team. And we basically reverse engineered what he was doing, and I gave it to some designers in Pakistan. So I would get clients from meetups, and then I would give the work back to my designers in Pakistan.
Yeah.
That's how I got started.
Yeah, I mean, like that is really interesting. Of the fact that most people miss out that the advantage we have is price parity and cost of our labor. The follow-up question I actually have is, even though we are aware of this fact that we have price parity and cost of labor, yet what make us not grow? It's like we have the most amazing advantage, even like the dollar fluctuations or advantage of dollar to, we can have like, low cost employees, laborers. From that conversion, it definitely affects. What makes us not successful mostly? So what do you think about it?
I think it's a mindset challenge, right? So the people who are here, they're very limited to what the local market can offer. So as an example, if you look at an accountant, because I'm from that background, an accountant would get paid 60,000 rupees in Pakistan.
Yeah.
But
insane.
if the same accountant goes abroad to Canada or the US, now that person can earn like 10 lakh rupees in a month.
Yes.
Right? Like $5,000, $6,000. So this is what you call the economic arbitrage, the same arbitrage that exists within Amazon. And in order for you to jump from that 60,000 to 10 lakh, initially you would have to move to a different country. But we live in a world of globalization. So as long as you have a laptop and you have internet, you can get connected to people outside, and those companies would pay you the same amount.
Exactly. Yeah.
But people, because they're limited to the local market, do not think about it that way. As soon as you figure that out, now you can start marketing yourself to the outside world. And once you do that, you can actually get a piece of that pie. So you might not get like 10 lakh, you might get 5 lakh, which is still, if you think about it, almost 10 times what you make in the local market. I think that's the key to growth, is just allowing you to accept the fact that there is a world, there is a client, there is a company that is willing to pay you 10 times for the same type of work. It's not a difference in skill. It's just a difference in the kind of person that's paying you.
Do you really think networking also plays a role to open up the mind of people, especially living in Pakistan, to believe that it's a reality to make that kind of money?
I just mentioned this. I'm a huge advocate for networking because there's a shift that happens in your mindset when you meet people that are making a lot of money. So as an example, when I come to Pakistan, one of the things that I notice in myself is I get content, I get comfortable, I get complacent. But when I go to the US, somewhere in Miami or New York or Vegas, and I see people making like 10 times more than I am, I'm like, man, I need to do something about what I'm doing right now. Even the pace that I'm growing at right now is not enough. I need to 10x that. Just like Grant Cardone says,
yes,
10x your mindset. And that only happens when you meet people who are actually doing 10x of what you're doing right now.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. As soon as I remember, as soon as I started to have like these guests on my podcast, I had this like internal anxiety. I was like, what am I doing? Why am I so slow?
Yeah.
All etc. Because of the pace they were in and the way that they take decisions, or they, the speed up of the process, everything out there, that had got me that anxiety also. That, hey, why am I taking so long to get that done?
And half of it is anxiety, half of it is just understanding that, hey, it is possible.
Yeah.
There is someone that's doing it.
Yeah.
This person seems legit. Like people these days, when they're looking at social media, everything looks fake, right? So the natural reaction is, this guy is just lying. It's not true. Like you cannot make $1 million in a month, as an example. But there are people making that.
Yeah.
Why else would you be flying private if that wasn't possible? So you can do it. It's just now a matter of, okay, that person is doing it. Let me just see how this person is doing it. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing in terms of inputs in a day? What kind of a business model are they operating? Are they in the same industry that I am? Well, what are they doing differently? There has to be some internal actions that they do on a day-to-day basis that gives them that X amount of output. So you just need to just look at it from their lens, from their frame, and then work it back on, okay, where do I have to be in the next 3 to 4 years? And where are they? Like, how far out are they? Am I like six years away? Am I 7 years away? How much work do I need to put in? So it all starts making sense once you just get in touch with that one individual who's actually doing it. And you just need to be a good observer, a silent observer, listen in to what they're saying, what have they done, learn from their mistakes, and start implementing what they're teaching.
Yeah, getting your 4-minute mile, that makes you believe that it is possible, first of all.
Yeah.
You have to believe it that it is possible so that you can like plan out things like what's your plan of action looks like, right?
Absolutely.
So speaking about like your agency, what are the offers or like what are the services you actually provide in your agency?
People think we're very niched out. What we do is we help e-commerce brands, specifically brands on Amazon, with their creatives.
Okay.
And a lot of times I get asked, well, why do you not do like new Amazon brand setups? Or why do you not work on ads or maybe Shopify or TikTok? And sometimes people pitch ideas to you. Hey, I have this great idea. Let's do TikTok shop together. I'm like, no, I want to stay in my lane.
Exactly.
Why is that? Because when you specifically niche out, you are going to grow faster. There's not a lot of competition when you're niche down, okay? But the broader you go, now you have to solve even more problems. And that sometimes slows you down. So when you choose a specific problem, it's easier to scale your business. We do creatives, we're just gonna do creatives, and that has helped us grow to 5, 6, 7 mil per year, and helped us. Sure, I mean, I have other businesses in my portfolio where we do like website designs and Google ads. That's my other agency. But AMZ One Step, which is my biggest agency, that's all we do. And that's all we want to do. And guess what? We're not even 1% of the market share. There's such a long way to go. Imagine 6 million new Amazon brands launch every year.
Oh, wow.
6 million.
That's a lot.
Okay. So they all need creatives. Do you think they all get it done by AMZ One Step? No. There's a big portion that goes to Fiverr, Upwork, other freelancers, other agencies. We're not even like 1% of the market. So this market, even though it seems small, is gigantic. And we want to be the biggest in that space.
So what makes somebody who is successful running an agency of Amazon, it could be anything, it could be creatives, PPC, all that, etc., versus somebody who's kind of like struggling? Because we have a lot of freelancers, agencies here in Pakistan in like mass production, and they're not successful. They're kind of like just doing it for the sake of doing it. They are kind of like struggling all the time, even though they spend like 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is, but they're still struggling compared to you, where you spend like 7, or technically if you think about like 6 to 7 years of sheer focus and got you the result, the success, all that, etc. So like what makes somebody unsuccessful in, let's say, in Amazon space compared to somebody who's successful?
I think everyone has a certain amount of success, right? That's why they're running the agency. They're just not willing to solve the problem that others don't want to solve. That's it. We solved a problem that was a gap in the market. Sure, you can get images done by a freelancer, but now you need models.
Exactly.
Sure, you could find a model, but now you need a location. Sure, you could find a location, but now you need like a full production crew to be on set. Sure, you could get that, but now you need a product shipped. We will get it picked up from your doorstep, even if you're living in Mars. We'll get it shipped to our studios. We'll get it done with models. We'll get it done professionally. We'll get it done at speed with a proper price. Everything is managed.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like a combination of very little problems that creates a one big solution. And if you can just work that out, that takes a long time, and it takes like a lot of brain power. It takes problem solving skills that other people are not willing to commit to. So they take the easier route, which is my neighbor is doing Amazon ads, so I'm just going to do Amazon ads. Sure, you can do that, but then you can't scale after like $10, $20, $30,000 per month. At a certain point, you hit a plateau, and then only the few people in the industry are making a lot of money from it. And if you look at those few people, again, within the ads, within the creatives, within a specific platform, they have solved something very unique that these guys are not able to solve.
Yeah. I mean, like what's interesting about you, what you said is like you have helped people pay you more because of convenience. People pay you more for convenience. That's what most people actually miss out. You're getting those products, you're getting that photographed design without them moving at all. They can be in their home and you're doing everything and they're paying you more because of the convenience, all etc. And the other thing that you mentioned, which is also really interesting, is most people simply just don't understand their customers' follow-up problems. In your case, you're pretty much clear about like what follow-up problems my potential customer or my customer is actually facing right now and what else I could solve. I would love to know more about, do you think so like us being, and again, because Pakistan, India is kind of like a mass market of freelancers, agencies who are providing service, we are like ranked like third or fourth overall if you think about from a freelancer perspective also. Do you actually think like us being jack of all trades is what's causing us the most problem right now?
I believe so, yes. I think the differentiation part is really important, which people don't want to give attention to, nor do they want to give time to. Because when you start out as a freelancer, you're just so focused on getting financially independent.
Yeah, getting income.
And just to get some income.
Yes.
And because of that, you start doing things, you start saying yes to things that will make you money no matter what. And so you leave that important, crucial part out of it, which is how do I differentiate from the rest of the market? Maybe that's going to take me like 1-2 years to design. But once I do that, I'm going to be so different that I will make more money than all these other players in the market. So funny you mentioned India. I was at a conference and I met these IIT graduates. And they had created a software for Amazon ads, which we use in-house as well. And I was like, you know, there's so many software out there. What makes you guys different? They're like, we made this specifically for agencies. We just want to work with agencies. Amazing software, great intellectual people. And they made a unique product because it's not for brands, it's for agencies.
Yes.
So this is what I mean by differentiation. You have to think of where is that gap in the market and just cater to that market.
Yeah, so they became the master of one instead of jack of all trades.
Absolutely.
Got it. So when we talk about running a $1 million agency, what are the elements looks like from, let's talk about like Amazon agency. And I think like a lot of steps from a cycle is applicable for everybody, but what's the process looks like from planning to create an offer to, you know, lead structure, which is more constant, to closing and communication, and then delivery, and then kind of like rinse and repeat. So what's the process looks like on building a 7-figure agency?
Yeah, I have really given a lot of thought to this because most of the majority of the people that I talk to are freelancers, right?
Yeah.
Or they're like very infancy stage agencies. And their challenge is the same. They're stuck between that $1,000 to $3,000 per month. How do they scale from that to 7 figures? So I kind of divided this into 7 different steps.
Okay.
The very first step is you need to learn a skill, okay? Any kind of skill, as long as you put time and effort into it, will help you scale to $1,000. Basically, just give it to people for free. And after a while, just get 5 clients for free. And trust me, I'm not even kidding. If you do free work for them, but they love the work, they will pay you for it eventually.
Exactly.
That's how you get to 1,000. From there, now you've tested the skill. Now you need to create an offer. The offer will attract people to have conversations with you. That offer will get you from $1,000 to $3,000 as a freelancer. After 3,000, now you have tested the offer, people get interested in a conversation. Now you need to explore a lead generation channel. Could be Upwork, Fiverr, could be social media marketing, could be conferences, LinkedIn, email marketing, you name it. Pick one, just dial down, you will get to a stage where you start getting leads from it. That will get you from $3,000 to $10,000 per month. From there, you need a sales system. Now leads are coming in. You just need to know how to implement the right sales system. One guy books appointments for you, you jump on a call, you close them, you do follow-ups, you put that in a CRM. It has to be a system. That will get you to $25,000 per month. After 25, you have enough clients so that you can now start selling them a back-end offer. A back-end offer is you've solved one problem, now they're going to have another problem. In our case, we don't just do creatives. That's what we tell the world. But once they do the creatives, now they need ads. Now they need a launch service. That's what we do for them. So this is essentially what is a back-end offer. That will get you from 25 to 50,000. And then lastly, from 50,000, you just need to explore more lead gen channels, and it will get you from 50 to 85,000, and you have a 7-figure agency.
Yeah. I mean, like that, I would think so that this is kind of like a roadmap of how you mentioned about it. Like, it's kind of like a roadmap of like how somebody can go from scratch to even like make, 7 figures per year, which is like definitely amazing. And I think like some things are even like applicable on later stage as well. Like we right now, even at the moment, provide things for free for our potential clients if we feel like that could be somebody who can be converted. Like we literally created, we had one person who was doing a wrestling podcast for the past 10 years. It was insane. And we wanted to have him as a client at first. We were in the similar school platform, school community. And I was like, hey, I would like to offer you one trailer for free at no cost. He was like, cool. Let's see how that works. And we sent them the trailer and they loved it so much. Plus, I told him like, hey, I'm a wrestling fan too. I love wrestling. So he was like, okay, let's see what you got. So I created a trailer for him. He loved it so much. He was like, hey man, I would love you to do all trailers for our podcast and everything around that. And he have interviewed guys like John Cena, The Rock, The Undertaker, everything like that, which was insane. But like that thing where offering it for free or show it what you can do for them is like, it's an insane opportunity and kind of like applicable everywhere on any stage as well. So which is definitely amazing. I will
100%.
Yeah.
And I just want to comment on this because this is exactly what I mean by mindset.
Yes.
You could look at marketing and say, I'm going to spend on Facebook ads or Google ads and acquire a client, right? Which is in marketing terms is called cost per acquisition.
Correct.
But the other way of looking at it is, if my cost per acquisition is $500, why do I not do something free for a client? Maybe it's going to cost me $100.
Yeah.
And I do it for 5 different people, 500. And maybe out of those 5 people, one's going to say, let's continue working.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But one you're giving away to Facebook, the other one you're giving away to create relationships.
Yes. And even if that person does not convert it into a client, that's still your portfolio.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That gets into your portfolio. And on the other side, the cost of acquisition to acquire a customer is far less than what you spend on a Facebook ad.
We work with like 15 different partners that send us referrals.
Yes.
And what we do for their audiences is free stuff.
Yeah.
It's something that we give away for free. So their audience benefits from that free thing, but in return, we get an introduction. You
Exactly.
don't ask for referrals.
Yep.
Referrals is asking for like money, right? Give me something.
Yes.
No, you ask for an introduction so you can give them something for free. Now you're providing value versus the other way around.
Yeah. So I would love to like dive deep into the part of communication, which is also pretty interesting concept, especially here in Pakistan, because we lack the idea of like how we need to communicate with our clients, how we need to communicate, or how we become market leader. Technically, if you think about it from that perspective too, we are not able to position ourselves as leaders in the foreign markets, right? Where I personally think, and you're also the prime example of that we can become market leaders. Doesn't matter like where we're living from, what our language looks like, all that, etc. What do you think is the number one communication problem we have as of right now?
We go into every conversation like we do in a performance. It's like it's rehearsed. When someone on the other side of the phone is speaking English,
Yeah.
we're like, I don't know what I'm going to say.
Exactly.
Right? That nervousness. Why does that come in? Because we're not just there to listen. You just have to listen and respond. Instead, your mind has these scripts and you're like, how do I fit that in when someone says XYZ?
Exactly.
And this is what makes you nervous. So think of it this way. When you walk on stage and you have something rehearsed, it's going to keep you nervous the whole time. But if someone just throws you a mic and says, just say anything, whatever comes to mind, now your mind is at ease to say whatever.
Exactly.
So the biggest communication issue that I see is that people get in this performative state where they try to perform in front of the person in front of them instead of just getting in, because a lot of these conversations are initial sales conversations. And if you want to do well in sales conversations, you just need to be a good listener. This is why I say Introverts actually make better salesmen than extroverts.
Yeah, because they talk less, listen more.
They talk less. The less you talk, the more you sell.
Yes. And I would like to add on more into this is getting on sales call, getting our communication, as you mentioned, from a script perspective. If somebody is going with the script, they rigorously will try to like follow the script as you said. And in that case, they're not even like diagnosing what the other person's problem could be, like a doctor. If you ask more questions compared to rigorously saying your script, it will change the whole perspective of the customer or like the potential lead, all that, etc. too.
When you go to a psychiatrist, they're just going to ask you a few questions,
Yes.
open-ended questions. Why do you feel this way? What made you do this, right? And you are just talking the whole time, and then you just pay them. This is the best career to have, because all you do is ask a few questions. But it asks the type of questions that allows people to open up. And so in sales, the same kind of psychology goes in. You ask people open-ended questions so that they can open up about their problems. And then as soon as you present a solution that resonates with them, they think, this person really heard me out. And they have something that I was looking for.
Yeah.
So then pricing and all the other things just goes out of the way. But if you go into a call, you don't ask them what they want. I'm like, I don't even care what you want. I'm just going to say, this is what we sell. Please take it from me. Automatically, your sales guard is going to go up.
100%.
And you're going to be skeptical. And
Yes.
you wouldn't want to work with that person.
Yeah. So what makes somebody, apart from, of course, like being a good listener, which is like really underrated skill, and somebody have to become a good listener so that he can become a good communicator. What do you think are the other elements that are also necessary for somebody to become a really good communicator in general?
Other aspects of it. So I think, number one, you need to be good at what you do, right? Because the product knowledge has to be there. So just like a good doctor, as soon as the doctor presents something, if they're good, you can sense it. Your
Yes.
gut just gives you that feeling.
Your instinct.
Aside from being a good listener, I feel like product knowledge is really important. You need to be good at what you do. Just like any doctor, as soon as they open up their mouth, you get a gut feeling that, whatever they're saying, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's true.
And outside of that, I feel like if you have conviction in your life, you will have conviction in what you say. That is really important. So inner conviction is really important. For example, if you do a podcast and you stick to it for 10 years, you're going to build conviction in doing a podcast.
100%.
Right? If you open up a business of Amazon and you do it for 10 years straight, you're going to build conviction in that. On top of that, if you start going to the gym, you do it for 5 years, you see results, you're going to have conviction around going to the gym. So these little things, going to the gym, having a good business, having a good set of friends, having a good relationship with your family, all these things build conviction inside of you. And then that conviction carries over in any conversation that, when people call it like aura, that's
Yes.
exactly what it is. When you're like convinced, as soon as you open your mouth, people are like, this guy's saying something important. I just
Yeah.
want to listen to it. That conviction, you cannot fake that. You can't just bring it to a table. You can't just bring it to a conversation. You need to build that by doing things consistently in your life so that over time, that conviction instills inside of you, and then you portray that out as soon as you have a conversation.
Yeah. So, okay, having really good at what you do and doing it for so long so that you can have enough conviction about it so that anything you say, people actually believe it, that it's going to be true, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think could possibly the last thing that can play a crucial role in terms of communication? And especially, what are the things we are lacking? Like we lack the ability to listen. We lack the ability of us getting really good at what we do so that we can have enough conviction about it. What is the final thing, or what you would say like is also a missing piece of the puzzle that makes this communication issue complete for all the other listeners or audience?
Yeah. And you want to know what's like the biggest destroyer of conviction? Is when you commit and you don't follow through. It's the biggest destroyer of conviction. I'm going to come to this place at 5 p.m. and you show up at 6. I'm going to do this by tonight and you do it tomorrow. These little things, they will destroy your willpower. They will destroy your conviction.
Yes.
If you're a man or a woman of your word, you will build conviction over time because you know that you can trust yourself. And if you can trust yourself, you can carry that same conviction over to other people, that you can trust me, I'm a trustworthy person. So conviction comes from just committing to things and following through.
Yes.
Outside of that, what else can play a role? I just feel like being a good conversationalist in general will help you. And again, you don't have to be an extrovert to do that. Just have good conversations with people.
Yeah.
You know? Just I know introverts typically get drained when they're in social settings, but stuff that you learn today, just discuss it with people. Read books, read articles, listen to podcasts. You just have to consume enough knowledge in order for your conversations to be enlightening, to be entertaining. And then again, you just have more stuff to talk about. So I feel like there's a lot that people in Pakistan are missing out on.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are multiple things actually that comes into play. And since you've mentioned about being a conversationalist, I would love to talk more about people forget the fact of like how humor works, how jargons work, how to understand other mind. If somebody is sitting in Pakistan, and of course, like everybody have like phones and everybody have internet access, so they can explore the world from that perspective. How somebody can become a really good conversationalist from understanding humor, jargon, because like all of those things technically from a perspective of conversing with somebody outside Pakistan plays a key role. That what differentiates you. So like, what do you think is like a key element that makes us different, from a conversational standpoint, understanding humor, jargon, speaking their language in simple terms. So like, what do you think about it?
I think every culture is different, right?
Yes.
So the way we talk to each other in Pakistan is very different than someone would talk to other people in Canada or the US.
Yes.
And shows will teach you that jargon or the way they communicate in those areas. Like you tune into some Korean shows, they would have a very different style of talking to each other. And I've always learned and picked up things from movies, from shows. Of course, nothing like living there by yourself, but the more conversations you have, the easier it is for you to pick that. I like to record stuff, okay? So there's an app called Fireflies that would record your meetings.
Yes, I use that too.
And people say practice makes you perfect, right? Practice does not make you perfect. Without a feedback loop, you can practice all you want, but it won't it won't improve your skills or your conversations unless you listen to it, you get feedback from it, and next time you try something new. So feedback makes you perfect. And the more you listen to your recordings, the more you'll figure out patterns or things that you're doing wrong. And you just listen to the other person. What are they saying in the beginning of the conversations? What kind of jokes are they putting on? And there's a specific portion in a sales call that is called rapport building. As soon as you jump on a call, what are like the first few things you say? So something like, where are you calling from? Or where are you joining us from? Oh, that city. I always have something about that city. Maybe I visited, maybe I know the sports team, maybe there was like a movie scene from that city. You just say something that will humanize you. That's really important.
Exactly.
So when you say something relatable, it humanizes the other person. And it's very important in this freelance world because someone in the US does not know the kind of conditions that we have in Pakistan. So as soon as you say something like that, it tells them that this person is also a similar human being.
Okay, that makes total sense. Right now you are running an in-person and remote team, right? How many people in total working with you?
Yeah, we have about 160 to 170, somewhere around that. And the biggest team sits in Pakistan. That's where we have roughly about 100, 110. Then we are headquartered in Canada. We have a studio in the US, one in Bali, and one third-party studio that we work with in China. So yeah, across All these areas, we have about 160, 170 people.
So some of them are like full-time people, some of them are contractors, all that, etc. Correct?
Most of them are like full-time.
Okay.
Yeah. And most of them sit out of the office, other than the ones that are like in Canada, US, a lot of them are remote. So they're working mostly in like client-facing roles, but they're remote.
So like client-facing roles are remote, are from countries like US, Canada, Australia, countries like these, correct?
Yes, yeah. And it just goes back to, it's easier to humanize people in Canada and the US, and they understand the client needs a lot better than someone who is sitting in Pakistan. I'll give you an example. So in Pakistan, we don't even shop on Amazon, right? So how can we expect someone to understand what really works on Amazon?
Yeah, we are pretty skeptical about it.
Yeah, and it's just easier. It's easier to get someone to understand where the client is coming from when they're sitting in the same country.
So leading over 150 people remotely and in person, for you, how you personally maintain that sanity? Because like most people are running a team of like 10 people, 20, 30, and they're like, we are not able to like manage our team. It's like a lot of things going on actually, because these are like real human that you're managing, right? Whether it's like remote or in person, all that. Like how you are maintaining your sanity after managing over 150 people?
Yeah, so it was a lot at first, and we're not business owners, right? So when we started the business, just like any other freelancer or a small agency, we don't have that experience. We've not been in like leadership roles. We haven't really led big teams before. So for us, it was just learning on the go, learning on the job per se. And a lot of things we did wrong, like just being open on weekends when you don't really need to. Keeping track of time very rigorously. It's like if a parent is keeping constant monitoring on a kid and micromanaging and saying you haven't worked for like 4 hours today, that kid is not going to perform. Why? Because the kid does not have the freedom to do what they're willing to do. And you don't create responsible leaders like that. All you create is people who would follow tasks when you're micromanaging them, but as soon as you step away, they're going to stop working. And so we wanted to create a culture where everyone is just accountable, self-accountability, everyone wants to excel. People come to the table with their own goals, and people who are not performing, we don't give any spotlight to. So we don't highlight them, we don't reprimand them in front of people. We only celebrate the winners in our team. And as soon as we started doing that, the whole culture shifted. Because now it wasn't about why this XYZ person didn't do this. It was about, look at this person. He was able to achieve this today. Look at that person. She was able to do this today. And so slowly and steadily, we were able to create a culture of winning. And with culture, you also need an effective system.
Of course.
That system, you're going to create over time. It's not going to be created within one day, because over time, what you're going to figure out is what are some of the steps that we constantly do that don't have to be manual. It could be automated. And so we use a platform called ClickUp for that, where a lot of these actions are automated.
Yes.
So essentially now someone doesn't have to go into the other office or other person's room and say, hey, I've done my work, now it's your time to do this. It's just fully automated within a system. So you need to have a good culture and you need to have a good system. And then essentially as an owner, you can step out of the equation and start building a team that is going to be self-sufficient.
Yeah. I mean, like one thing that you said, which is pretty interesting, is you highlight the winners so that other can follow the lead too, so that they can get on the same spotlight too. Yeah. Which is really amazing.
I feel like people in your team, they really want to work closely with the owners. That's what I felt. Okay. And they're like your kids. So you need to give them attention. And when you don't give them attention, they're going to want that attention. The problem is a lot of agency owners or entrepreneurs, they give attentions to the spoiled brats. The people who are destroying the culture. I call them energy vampires because they suck the energy out of the whole company, right? And as long as they're getting attention, they're not going to want to fix themselves because you're giving them attention. Instead, if you give all the attention to people who are actually coming in, they want to make a difference, then over time, the people who are not getting attention, either they're going to leave the job, you're going to kick them out, or they're going to correct themselves. Either of these three things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And so over time, you're just going to get more winners than losers in your team.
Yeah. So as long as you stop giving them attention, they will try to take attention, but in a different manner now, because now they have to become a good person, or you have to become the A star of the team so that they can get that same attention, limelight, while they were getting earlier by making mistakes, making errors, doing it maybe like intentionally in some cases because they loved that sort of like a spotlight at first, correct?
Yes. And for people who are listening, I don't mean just let the bad performers be.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, that's
100%.
that's not what I'm trying to say. The bad performers, don't rule them out. Let the system catch them. Okay? So I'm a huge proponent of the system doing the work for you. If you have set different metrics, different key performance indicators, that will basically tell you how one individual is performing in a team, you'll know if they're hitting the standard, if they're going above and beyond, or if they're below the standard. If they're below the standard, your policy should dictate strike 1, you get a warning. Strike 2, you get a written warning. Strike 3, you're out of the company. So if you have a system in place that will do that for you, you don't need to have a conversation with them. Hey, listen, I know you're working, you're doing whatever you can, but like if you don't correct this, you're already on your second warning. Next strike, you're out. I don't make the rules.
Yes.
The rules are made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when there are policies, when there are KPIs, they know like it's not a verbal conversation. They know it's data. Like
Exactly.
if you make inside of the data, you're out, right?
Absolutely. And reviews are really important, right? So a lot of agency owners, they come to me and they say, how do you implement something from your team? Because, we come up with these great ideas, right? And then we don't see any traction with them. And I'm like, well, that's the first problem, is you're coming up with these ideas. You want your team to come up with the ideas. So a common question that I ask my managers is, what are you going to do in the next month in order to achieve XYZ? Okay, so open-ended question. Usually I know the answer, but I'm waiting for them to give me the answer. Now, they'll give me the answer, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So my job now is, great XYZ person, if you have pitched this idea, why don't we set up a review by the end of this month? And in that review, we're going to see if you're able to achieve that or implement that. And that review is really important. If the review was not important, the day of judgment would not have been in the Quran, because if there was no day of judgment, if you could just put people in heaven or hell without the day of judgment, there would be no day for God to assess what had happened. And so people would not be thinking about that accountability. But because there is a day of judgment, people in the back of their head think of that day that they have to go and give answers. And because of that, it keeps them in line. So when the review day or the day of judgment is coming and it's a Tuesday afternoon, on Wednesday they have to come and present the numbers, they'll do the work.
Of course.
It'll be in the back of their head.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's really great analogy, like how you actually explained everything, which is amazing. Speaking of that, right now, especially in like 2025 right now, we are in the mode of AI right now. AI is on the verge right now. It's like everybody's talking about AI, all etc. Everybody is kind of like talking around AI from a beginner perspective, even though they don't know how to use it, and they're operating it from a lower level, from people who are making like 7-figure or 8 figures or more. How you're personally incorporating AI right now to save, let's say, more time, more money, more resources within your agency, or even in your personal life too. Like how you are making your life and business more efficient using AI right now.
Yeah, I think AI is the rage right now. Everyone is trying to leverage AI in some shape or form.
Yes.
And my advice to everyone is start getting accustomed to AI. try to use it as much as possible in whatever capacity you can. I use it for a lot of my content. We use it for a lot of the copywriting work that we do. We use it for a lot of like the planning stage of the projects. And we have cut down so much time drastically. I'll give you an example. An image plan, which is basically like a brief that we create before a project, would take us around 4 to 6 hours. Now it takes us half an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we have cut down a lot of that time. And eventually we would be dinosaurs because all that work that we're doing, creating images, videos, would be done by AI. And we're basically trying to be ahead of the curve. So we hired 2 PhDs from India, PhDs in AI, who are helping us build our own software. So when the time comes, we already have a software that's out there for the market, and we're the first ones to launch it. This is what you need to do to stay ahead of the curve, right? So just try to figure out in your industry, what is the limit that AI has gotten to? What are the experts using right now? And you start using it. It's a huge efficiency gainer. And over time, either you're just going to be completely replaced by AI, or you're going to be the ones that are going to be implementing AI into different businesses. So it might become your advantage or your biggest curse.
So utilizing it as a first mover advantage is kind of like your plan right now?
Absolutely, yes.
That's great. Speaking of about that and the way that we even like started your podcast, that you stumbled around Amazon because of an event or a network. Right now you're creating your own community, which is Reality Check. I would love to know more about like why the name Reality Check. What was the thought behind that? And can you like explain more about the community, what it is, what it's about, all that, etc.?
Yeah. So in Pakistan, I've been coming for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
And the more I talk to people, the more I'm like, these people need a reality check. A reality check to really start thinking about money in a way that other people outside of Pakistan think about. And not have that limitation that because we're in this country, we can earn that much. It's just a mindset issue. And throughout that mindset is carried out, I just want to break that narrative. I want to give them that reality check. The way I spell check is, the check you have in money terms. So I want to create the biggest community there is for freelancers. And I feel like I have a lot of value to share because I haven't just done $1 million with one agency, I've done it with 3 agencies now. So there's a lot of coaching programs and masterminds that I've been into. I have spent more than 2-3 crore just on gaining that knowledge.
Almost $100,000.
Exactly. And I want to give that to other people. And I don't believe in gatekeeping or holding back value. And I feel like already we have built such a great community with agency owners that are doing great numbers, and now they're sharing with other people. So it's going to take me time. I knew coming in that it's not like something that I would achieve in 1 year. It's going to, I like to believe in like slow progress. And I want to give it like 5-6 years for it to become a prominent community. If you haven't heard about it, do check us out, because I feel like if you're anywhere in your freelancing journey, I can teach you a thing or two about a thing or two that will get you to a new milestone that you've set for yourselves in 2025.
That's amazing. We're definitely going to post up the links in the description, also in the show notes down below. Well, Saddam, first of all, thank you so much for being on the show. Any last thing you want to say before we round the show up?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a blast talking to you. And last thing, freelancing is still very new, right? Like people learn habits from their families. If your family gets up early in the morning, you're gonna get up early in the morning. If your family reads books, you're gonna read books. And if your dad was an accountant, you're gonna be an accountant. So with freelancing, it's such a new field that our previous generation didn't really do it. So it's already so big in Pakistan. Imagine that these freelancers are now going to have kids and they're going to become freelancers. So you're basically keeping yourself open to a global economy. You don't have to play in the local market. Just stick together as a community, learn from each other. Don't follow these TikTokers that are just talking about, different drama and vlogs and all of that stuff. That thing can be followed, but also focus on, this journey. If you're trying to earn online and through freelancing, just get in a good network. Remove the noise, focus in. 2025, if you give it just 1 year, I can guarantee you this. I put a post out that you can make $2,000 just sitting in Pakistan. 100% achievable. You just need 1 year. I guarantee it. So that's what I'll leave your audience.
Yeah, you will become who you surround yourself with.
100%.
Well, Saddam, again, thank you so much for being part of the show. And again, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll definitely going to see you guys in the next episode. Until then, peace out.